for the Arizona Department of Corrections. He looks like a corrections director. He's got the whole look down, the uniform, the hair, and the smirk. Both the department and Centurion, the prison healthcare contractor. You see, that's what people don't understand. It's all about the contractors. Everybody's getting rich off this thing, right? And when you are the director, you get to help steer the contracts. Not saying he did anything wrong. I'm just telling you how it works. I saw a couple documentaries on it. Until October 2022, no comment. Or Arizona's Republic's reporting or immediately. They didn't even respond to requests for comment from Jezebel. NAFCARE, which is the Arizona Department of Corrections current health provider as of last October, denied to Arizona Republic that it has any policy requiring labor to be induced, but confirmed that since October, one incarcerated patient was induced per hospital specialist orders as a maternal fetal safety precaution. NAFCARE told the outlet that there are currently 6 pregnant people in the state prison system. Will they all give birth on the same date? I don't know, but I don't believe the statement. Also from Jezebel, Pierce and Hefner Romero telling the newspaper that while they weren't shackled and were granted allotted time with their newborn babies as required by the state's Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act, which was passed in 2021, a long time ago, the medical care they did receive was lacking. The women said the special prenatal diet they were provided by the Perry prison was merely an extra daily helping of milk and a peanut butter sandwich. Wow. Okay. I don't know if you want to button that up. I've heard enough, Ben, and I don't know that much is going to change. High hopes, do you have them?
I'm always an optimist. I like that was passed in 2021. I wish it was providing something more substantive than that. But I guess when a lot of these stories get us down, all I can offer is that when you take a step further back, while it's very hard to see injustice still happen and steps back still occur, we are moving towards a better world in most categories. And yeah, nice to see some progress.
Yeah. Speaking of progress, TJ Holmes's wife is tired of just being quiet about it. He's being very loud. So his wife is coming forward now. Strange wife said she's disappointed in the GMA3 host. First public comment since his highly publicized affair with his co-anchor Amy Robach. TJ, honest. Okay, let me get through this. Marilee Fiba released a statement via her divorce attorney 1 week after Holmes filed paperwork to end their nearly 13-year marriage during the holiday season. And in the light of the challenging times, Marilee's sole focus has remained on the overall best interest of her 9-year-old daughter, Sabine. The attorney telling the Daily Mail that. I think it's excellent. They went to the Daily Mail, they broke the story. She added, notwithstanding, we continue to be disappointed by TJ's lack of discretion, respect, and sensitivity towards Marilee and the party's daughter. That's a good mother. TJ has his skinny jeans. That's the only thing I can say about him. He can wear a pair of skinny jeans now, but that's really the only positive thing I can say at this point. Lehman concluded her statement by noting Fiba, 45, has been touched by the outpouring of support since the scandal first made headlines in November 2022. Looks forward to a new beginning in this new year. She's an immigration lawyer, previously stayed tight-lipped on the matter. One source told Page 6 she was blindsided. Amy and TJ remain off air pending ABC's internal investigation, reportedly turning their working relationship into a secret romance, training together. Oh, they got it in. I'll give you the last word. I know people break up, Ben. That's not, it's just like, do you have to be so gross about it? Must you?
Yeah, speaking as somebody who recently went through a pretty serious breakup, it's, of course, everyone is entitled to make the decisions they want for their own life, but to do it in a way where you don't give extra care and extra consideration and extra heart towards the people you claim to love, but instead are able to shut them out, do things that and not give answers, not be there to show that while this might be, I might have moved on as a romantic love, but I still care for you as a human. When people don't show that, it really speaks so negatively to their character. And it's sad to see, you want everybody to find their happiness, but that doesn't have to come at the unhappiness of another. You can do it with kid gloves and a little more kindness.
Can I tell you something? You refocused me. That analysis that you just gave, back, you're gonna find love again if you haven't already. I can tell you're a good human being and you're gonna find love again. Because that was spot on. It's spot on. It's gonna find you. You can't escape it. Quickly tell people as we run down the clock here again where they can find you, follow you, all of it.
You can see both of my stand-up specials. You can see my old game show Idiot Test on Game Show Central. My stand-up specials are on YouTube and Amazon Prime. But just follow me at Ben Glebe on Instagram and Twitter. And my link in bio has the link to all of my things, including my Rebel HQ playlist.
Yeah, you need a love reality show too. That was just so beautiful. I stopped criticizing TJ. I stopped feeling the anger toward. I just felt like this is lovely and anyone can find love again. Ben Glebe, we appreciate you very much. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. I'm Sharon Reed. I've enjoyed sitting in the chair for the doctor. Hope you have me back and we'll see you next time.
Good afternoon and welcome to Unbossed. I am so glad that you are here with me today. And let me tell you, we got a heck of a show. I'm so excited. I can almost jump out of my seat, but if I did that, I wouldn't be on camera anymore. So let's get all the way to this. The circus has come to town, and I mean Washington, D.C., yeah, that town, but it impacts all of us all over the country. The Republican Party's crashing right now. No surprise, in front of our eyes. The real victim, though, the American people. I'm always going to draw back to who the real victims are. It's not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not those in leadership, not those clout chasing. It is the American people. And if you have crypto, it might be a good time to sell it before it is too late. This is a segment you do not want to miss. Bankman-Fried is all I can say, the poster child for all things that went wrong in crypto. And finally, later in the show, one family is getting the money they rightfully deserve. So here we go. You ready? Let's go. Crashing the party. I want you to take a look at this.
And 88th Congress and House Republicans now are on the verge of becoming a total clown show if they're not careful. But despite the cheering and the elation from Democrats and the mob and the media, it's not a dire situation yet. Now,
this will be one of the very few times, there may be some others, that's what I say few times, that you will hear me agree with Hannity and also to say to you, and yes, I, Nina Turner, am saying this today at the top of the new year of 2023 that Fox News got that absolutely right. This is a clown show indeed. So Republican Kevin McCarthy enters day 2 of his bruising quest to become Speaker of the House. How many of you got out the popcorn? Because this is indeed a show. And with the party's new majority fractured by a revolt among hardline conservatives who oppose his candidacy, and they haven't been shy about letting it be known that they don't like this brother, and that they don't want to see this brother in leadership, and that if he does happen to obtain leadership, they want some concessions, and that without those concessions, they are not budging. So let me dress this up for you. McCarthy weathered 3, now this was yesterday, 3 failed votes for Speaker on Tuesday as about 20, just 20 hardline conservatives blocked his path to the top congressional job and plunged the House into turmoil. It was the first time in 100 years that the House has not elected a speaker on the first day. Thank you, Rutgers, for that reporting. And this news is floating all over media because this is indeed news. 100 years. There's something else we're going through right now that hadn't happened in 100 years, and that is the COVID. It's this pandemic, a pandemic of this magnitude. That's 100 years as well. Let's go on further. But the standoff has raised fears among party members of a longer term rift that could hobble their ability to move forward in unison on economic, energy spending, and immigration priorities in the run up to the 2024 presidential election. Now this right here is the major point. I want us to rest right there. I want us to let this marinate right there, because this is really what this is all about. It's about them being able to set a play for 2024 and the hell with the American people, because so far I've heard no mention of the American people, but we're gonna keep on going. So yesterday's session lasted for about 5 hours. For those of you who did not get the opportunity to watch it or either read about what's happening in the United States House of Representatives, in that body called the Congress. So the session lasted for 5 hours and McCarthy failed to garner the votes needed to become speaker. He received 202 votes. He needed, on that final ballot, he needed 212. And this kind of stalemate involving electing a Speaker of the House, as I just said, had not happened for about 100 years. It hadn't happened since 1923. Voted, underline it, underscored, exclamation point, message in a bottle, baby, on a train. Has not happened since 1923. And if you ask the Democrats how they see this disruption or clown show, depending on how you want to categorize it, some people see this as a disruption. Others have called it a clown show. That's what Hannity calls it. I think Hannity is absolutely right on that. They see this as them winning, they being the Democrats. And I don't know how they see this as winning because they actually lost the House of Representatives. But let's go ahead and hear it from the words of some of the folks there. This is Representative Raul Grijalva, Democrat from Arizona. He framed it this way. Republicans have shown their hand and unveiled the clown car caucus with which they expect to govern. Again, that's Representative Grijalva from Arizona. And then the new House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, took a more measured approach by stating the following. It's a sad day for the House of Representatives as an institution. Sad day for democracy. It's a sad day for the American people. Now, it is a sad day for the American people, but not for the reasons that Representative Jeffries is laying out. It is a sad day for the American people because more dysfunction at a deeper level is going to continue to happen in the House of Representatives, and very little, if anything, is going to be done on the behalf of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in this country. But that is not what he was calling a sad day, because if in fact he meant that, when the Democrats had full control, they would have done some things, but they did not. So Jeffries, though, however, unlike McCarthy, had nothing to worry about because the Dem caucus it runs in lockstep. I mean, there were no 20, it wasn't 15, it wasn't 10, it wasn't even 5 people who had the courage or intestinal fortitude enough to push back against Hakeem Jeffries' leadership because they walk in lockstep and they take great pride in it, which is why they all swole up in the chest. I mean, really swole up in the chest over what is happening with the Republicans. This tweet right here sums up my feelings exactly. I wish this person would get out of my head, but here we are. This is what Shant had to say. It's rather pathetic to watch Democrats and leftists gloating about the fact that the Republican Party seems to still allow for a tiny amount of dissent and debate, while their own party is an absolute, and I mean absolute, Chant, go ahead with it, an absolute authoritarian Borg that demands lockstep allegiance from its members. Let it stay up, don't take it down. I want those of you who are watching the show live, I want you to just read that one more time with me, really. And for those of you who are listening, I am going to read that one more time. It's rather pathetic. Let's underline it, let's underscore it, let's bold it, put an exclamation point, put it in 6 bottles on a train, in a message, in a bottle. It's rather pathetic to watch Democrats and leftists gloating about the fact that the Republican Party seems to still allow for a tiny amount of dissent and debate, while their own party is an absolute authoritarian board that demands lockstep allegiance from its members. Shant got that right. I mean, 2,000% right, because that really is the Democratic Party. Baby, you got to walk all the way lockstep. You got to walk one by one. And if you dissent just a little bit, they come raining down on you, baby. That is what they do. Chant got that exactly right. And guess what? Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, they got more fire for the progressive side. And I ain't talking about them progressives in Congress, but I'm talking about the freedom fighting type progressives. They got more heat for them than they do for the Republicans. They will come harder at them, or us, I should say, than they will come after the Republicans. Because guess what? They are soulless and spineless too. They don't have any intestinal fortitude either. And that's why Chant got that exactly right. Because the Republic, even though these 20, I probably don't agree with 99.9% of the time, at least they have the courage of their warped conviction to stand up and to fight, and also say, let the chips fall where they may. But we ain't getting none of that on the Democratic side, not for this election with this this appointed, anointed Hakeem Jeffries, because he was picked by the leadership. And everybody went trolloping through the tulips, skip to my Lou, ring around the rosy, pity pat, all of that. Not one dissent on this man at all. But then the Democrats got a nerve, got the pure unadulterated gall. More nerves than the brass a monkey, to quote my grandmama, to talk about the Republicans. As backwards as they may be, Shant got that right, that they are going with the flow with the dissent. Meanwhile, Democrats clamp down on it like an authoritarian. And that's exactly what they do. Or let's take a look at Dan Marin's take on that, shall we? Yeah, let's do that. This is a reporter, Daniel Marins, put it this way. But imagine this were a progressive caucus. Now rest with me right there. Rest right there with me. I imagine that. I'm imagining it. It ain't happened. But imagine this were a progressive cause, excuse me. Would a faction of the left currently in Congress be willing to brave the negative PR, etc., to exact concessions from Dem leadership? It's a question. Dan is asking a very important question too. Doubtless no, he got that right. The factional brinkmanship is not analogous on the Dem side, for better or for worse. And guess what, Dan? Sister Senator Nina Turner gonna weigh in, it's for worse. Because what is the use of having a congressional progressive caucus if they are always going to walk lockstep through the tulips, tiptoeing all the way with the mainline corporatist, bought and sold Democrat? Because at least on the progressive side, allegedly on the progressive side, they are fighting for what is just right and good. And I say allegedly because they don't stand up strong enough for my taste and for the taste of so many other folks in the United States of America who believe in those things like Medicare for all, like expanding and protecting that child tax credit that they just let go away. Or how about passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act? Or the George Floyd Policing Act, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They did none of those things. And they don't raise the requisite hell or heaven, depending on how you want to look at it, necessary to show the American people that there's a difference between the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the rest of them. I have not seen it. And I got some folks, in that Congress that I kind of respect. But I have not seen it from them. But then folks got nerve to get mad at the 20 for standing up for what they believe in. That's what they doing. Whether you agree with them or not, I don't agree with them on the daggone thing on this, but at least they are standing. Now, the conservative rebellion also ratcheted up frustration among Republicans who said McCarthy's opponents were stalling party plans to push forward with its legislative priorities and to investigate Democratic President Joe Biden and his administration. There it is again. The Republicans are not even talking about standing up for the people. They're talking about having investigations for the next 2 years, which we knew that was going to happen. That is why the Democrats should have fought harder to keep control of the House of Representatives. And one way they could have done that is by changing the material conditions of the people in the United States of America who need their material conditions changed. And oh, by the way, exclamation point this too, not spending all their venom and their time coming after progressives. But that's what they do best. They don't do nothing else best. But that is the main concern of the Republicans right there. That's really all they care about. And who are the real victims in this debacle? I'm so glad you asked me because I have the answer to that. It is the everyday American people in this country. It's the 98% who suffer from the dysfunction in this House of Representatives. This is how they get the new year started. Because it really is a reminder that no matter who Republicans pick, they will want to cut Social Security. No matter who the Republicans pick, the Democrats didn't have the intestinal fortitude before the Republicans took over. They daggone sure ain't got it now, no matter who they pick. But let's put up this tweet right here. Republicans may be in ruins with the lunatic extremists fighting the slightly less extreme extremists. But there's one thing you can count on. They all want to cut Social Security with exclamation points. Now, John got this one right. I agree with him on this. And there have been times throughout the history of this Congress where even Democrats have been willing to team up with Republicans to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That person is in the White House right now. So while John is right on this point right now, there are other times when corporatist type Republicans and Democrats get together for foolishness and mayhem. Amy Villela, shouting you out right now, to do absolutely nothing on behalf of the 98% in this country. And specifically, the GOP members who are in control right now, including McCarthy, who's seeking to be the next Speaker of the House, these are the things that they are willing to mess with. So they are in favor. These people are in favor. Let's put them up. In favor of cutting Social Security. You got Representative Smith, Representative Jody, Representative Buddy, and Representative Lloyd, all Republicans who said that they are in favor of cutting Social Security. It's as if they don't have extra seasoned people in their district who need that Social Security. Social Security is one of the greatest tools of the 20th century that helped to drive down poverty among elders. And you got these fools, and that is exactly what they are. They are heartless, they are gutless fools. We need to call these people what they are, who are willing to cut Social Security. They don't give a damn. Underline that, exclamation point, bold it, message in 1,000 bottles. They don't care. And the people from their respective states should understand this. And people like them, the list that we just put up, they're all threatening they all threatened in October, as a matter of fact, of 2022. I'm old enough to remember 2022. How about you? To use a looming fight over the debt ceiling to force long sought cuts and changes to Social Security. And you know what? I hope the extra seasoned people revolt in this country. I hope they go running in the streets. I hope they let these fools know that you will never, ever get my vote again if you mess with my Social Security. Because baby, don't mess with the extra seasoned folks. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Now, as a reminder, McCarthy signaled in October that he would support attempts to enact spending cuts in exchange for any agreement to raise the debt ceiling. These are the kind of heartless, spineless people we dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, family and friends. This is it. So America, I asked you once again, and I ask this question often, how long are we going to continue to be complicit in our own demise? The corporatist wings of both of these parties are in cahoots with one another and not willing to make any type of sacrifice. I'm talking about real sacrifice. I'm talking about the type of sacrifice as in I might only have one term sacrifice on behalf of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class. We're gonna keep following this, but I dare not get in the clown car. It's something. It was just a sight to see. We'll keep on this. Now, another important story right now. Let's do this. But we're gonna do this when we get back. We're gonna talk about crypto. Y'all know how I'm feeling about crypto, because the crypto bro came up in this district to hurt the people that I care about, to get their bought and paid for Democrat elected. We'll be back. I almost need to fire a fire extinguisher. We'll be back. We will be back after this.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problems problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it, though.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
Welcome back to the show. So glad to have you. I got a surprise coming up too after these reads, but let me do some live reads and let me read some of the viewer comments. You know, this gets me settled, so I love this. So this is what we need to do. Spin the wheel. Spin it, baby. Yes. When you sign up for the annual membership, you'll get Spin the Wheel to win a limited time perks from TYT. Now, who doesn't want limited time perks from TYT? I know I do. One of those prizes is an unbossed tee. I should have wore my unbossed tee today. I need to wear it almost every day. You know what I'm saying? But check it out. Sign up at tyt.com/spin. Do that. You want to do that. And coming up after this show is the Tribulation. You don't want to miss the Tribulation with the one and only Francesca, baby, coming up right after this. So you here watching Unbossed, just go ahead and stay with the Tribulation Room. Go to twitch.tv/TYT. Do that for me. Now here we go with the comments. TYT members. Mickey, hey Mickey, baby. After the last 6 years of the horrors of the Republican Party, we all earned the laughs this clown show is giving us. I just hope that when McCarthy has to empty out the office he already assumed was going to be his, that someone videos him cleaning out his stuff. Mickey, that's a good one, because you know the brother did. He already in there. He probably didn't change the curtains and move the furniture around and everything, because he just knew he had this in the bag. He was not ready for the kind of dissent and the kind of heat them 20 extra extremists putting on his behind. But you're right, we need a good video of that. Sexy Speed Racer, hey, Sexy Speed Racer. I love 3 hearts. Your specs today, Nina. Thank you. Somebody told me I was the GOAT of eyewear, and I received that. I guess I do. Thank you, baby. And on Twitch, start and park. Does the fire extinguisher come out for 4:30? You know what? Brett, come on in here. Yes, it is gonna come out for you right here, right now. Brett, I'm telling you, this is the kind of moments I have on this show. This right here.
It's fantastic. Everybody should have a fire extinguisher at the ready, just for safety reasons, but also just to feel. I love it.
My Vanna Black. This is, at the wheel. Got it at the ready, Brad. I'm so glad to have you on the show today. I'm gonna read a few more comments and we're gonna get into our next stories. So Starting Park. So I did that just for you, Starting Park. I got it out. And it's Starting Park 2 of your comments. Democrats will score own goals to lose the World Cup. Woo, Starting Park, you hot today, baby. Now, Melanie, the next president of the United States. Drum roll, please. Nina Turner. Melanie, I love you for that, baby. Thank you for believing in me in that way. I tell you, I would be gassing up the jet on all kinds of folks. Trust and believe me, standing up for the poor, the working poor, the barely middle class in this country. And to quote the great FDR, who is not perfect, but I do love the fact that he fought against the powers of his time, the moneyed interests, and he told him, I welcome your hatred. Baby, I would be rolling with that and a little Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm and some Fannie Lou Hamer, all of that, some Mother Jones. Woo! Hey, anyway, Melanie, thank you, darling. And on YouTube Super Chat, Cherise, maybe I got that right. Please forgive me if I did not. It's Nina Turner time. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. And Donald, let's get cracking. Nina about to throw some papers. You know I am, don't you, Donald? Woo, baby, y'all getting to know me too well. Sending all kinds of love to you. The team here at Unbossed, we appreciate it.
My wife just walked in and she's like, "Here, take this. You need it." Is yours heavy? Mine's like a lot heavier than I thought it would be.
It's heavy, but I think yours is heavier than mine because I need to be able to get to mine quick.
There you go.
Oh my God, I am loving it and loving so much that Brett is here to be with me as we finish up our segments today. So we go on to sell your crypto. That's right, this is important. If you have crypto, we need you to watch this.
Crypto ecosystem is not just rife with fraud and grift. It's also replete with infighting and backstabbing. That's what happens in Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes. Oh man. At this point, our eyes glaze over when we hear about these noisy Twitter ring fights in crypto world. But there are hundreds of billions of dollars still tied up in this stuff, including money that you may have, and that money's going to be vanishing right before your eyes. My view is real simple. You can't afford to be in a security that isn't really a security. One that I argue you can't really store safely, not anywhere. As Stark says, and I quote, "It's all one big hustle." Again, it's not too late to sell anything in crypto world. Anything!
I don't know, Brett, I don't know. Now I'm feeling a little outdone by Cramer because he got sound effects.
We got to get you a soundboard, is what that means. That is all that means. That is
need a soundboard. But he said it's all one big hustle. I mean, do you agree with this crypto debacle?
It's so weird because Jim Cramer has done so many cameos in movies making fun of himself for that ridiculous setup he has that it's hard to tell the difference between real Jim Cramer and fake, I'm putting on like an acting show, Jim Cramer. But yeah, so the idea of crypto is itself, it depends on who you talk to. For a lot of people, they'll tell you that crypto is a way to get to insure yourself in case a government falls. You will have this all digital currency that exists outside of that system. However, inside of that system are a lot of regulations. Many would argue that there aren't strong enough regulations, but at least regulations, security, insurance against a failure or a run on the currency or various things like that. And the government will step in to kind of take action if that fails. But crypto doesn't have any of that. And we've already experienced the failure of many cryptocurrencies. And just as you have a lot of countries with a lot of different currencies, you got a lot of cryptos with a lot of different cryptocurrencies that are just like someone liked a picture of a dog. Those ones seem to be quite accurately described as Ponzi schemes.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many people got hurt just recently. We know with the Bankman-Fried scandal. I mean, for some people, for most of those people, cannot afford to lose any money at all. It just reminds me of Bernie Madoff. And sometimes we forget because we get caught up in the allure of the person that has been charged, and we sometimes forget about the people, real consequences for them and their families and all of that. And so really, I want to go back to something, Brett, that Cramer said. One of the most important things that I thought he said is you can't afford to be the security that isn't a security. One that I argue you can't really store safely, not anywhere. As Stark says, and I quote, It's all one big hustle. And I think that was a very strong point. And what sparked this conversation from Cramer was an article written by John Reed Stark on LinkedIn. And we're taking a look at that right now. 12 crypto predictions for 2023. And Stark makes 3 good points on why crypto is a hustle. And we're gonna talk about those 3 points. Crypto's not an investment because there's no regulatory oversight, and Brett just laid that out. Transparency, consumer protections, insurance, licensure, net capital requirements, and the crypto rug pull bazaar is so rife with market manipulation. That's what we saw happening with Bankman-Fried, insider trading and fraud. Again, Bankman-Fried, investors stand no chance from the get-go. So he's really saying that the system is rigged when it comes to the whole nature of crypto. Number 2, the second point he makes, crypto's not a currency because the price is too volatile. Fees are too high, taxes are too burdensome, risk are infinite, and the list goes on. How can anyone accept crypto as payment when it could be worth a lot less the next day? That's point number 2. And point number 3 by Starks. Meanwhile, the NFT marketplace is rigged. Market manipulation of NFTs appear not only rampant and tolerated, but also encouraged. Fraud not only rewarded, but also taught. The cybersecurity risk alone render NFT markets an absurd choice for any sort of investment. I mean, Brett, Starks did that.
Yes, that's accurate. All of that seems very accurate to me. And listen, there's a lot of when it comes to financial instruments, usually the people who created them know the most about them and rely on you not being able to figure it out. There's this old book that everyone who's like, Dad is Rich tells you about called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And there's just 2 categories essentially laid out in that book. Is the person who will stay rich intergenerationally because they know fundamental dynamics of economics, and then everybody else. And the other thing people talk about is buy the rumor, sell the news. So the rumor phase of cryptocurrency was like 2008. Then the news happened. All that volatility got a lot of people to jump in at the very end and throw the prices up. That's when the people who knew everything started selling. All that's left are folks that are holding the bag, and the bag just has no value in it anymore, no matter how many quote Bitcoin you have inside it. Now, maybe in the future that'll change, but I think that, and not even stuff that Jim Cramer tells you to do financially is official financial advice. Neither should anything you see on our network for sure. But I think at the end there might be people in the future who take advantage of that, and the people who made money in the past might be the ones to make money in the future. But I just don't see it having legs.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just one more quick point before we go to our next segment. The most powerful line here on this. It is easy to imagine a world without crypto, and if crypto disappeared tomorrow, nothing would change for anyone except criminals who would lose their most effective felonious device and instantly suffer immeasurably. So John Reed Stark on LinkedIn, thank you for laying that out. And yeah, people have taken advantage. Check out this headline. We know Bankman-Fried, we've done several stories on this. Sam Bankman-Fried pleads not guilty to 8 counts of wire fraud, securities fraud, and conspiracy. Of course, that's what people do at first. They plead not guilty. We'll keep an eye on that. So let's check in with Demar Hamlin. We all know about the tragedy that happened on Monday where he went into cardiac arrest on the football field. We all know that he is in the hospital. He is recovering right now. And as we continue to wish Demar Hamlin a speedy recovery, his fans and fellow players, people are coming together to support a foundation that he started. And let's look at this headline. Donations to Demar Hamlin's charity surpasses $4 million in hours after his collapse. And here's some more background on that charity that he calls Chasing the M's. The Pittsburgh native and former Pitt standout started the foundation soon after the 2020 college football season ended and immediately launched its first toy drive, creating a GoFundMe page for donations. That page remains active and donations poured in Monday after Hamlin's collapse. By 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Tuesday, over $4 million had been raised from more than 150,000 donations. The exact figure of the money raised for Monday was unknown, but believed to be in the low thousands of dollars, and it's still going up. I mean, I just read an article right before we went live that it's even more than 4 million at this time. I mean, people are really coming through, and this is a beautiful example of the community coming together to show some love and to support. Brett, I'm really glad that we could talk about something beautiful.
It's great to see when people, their first instinct is to give. In the wake of something like this, there is a lot of toxicity in the wake of this event. There were a lot of people who weren't toxic. They did the human thing, which is to look and see someone who's suffering, see how they could help, and actually chip in to help make a difference. And there's a lot to do around the issue of football, as I think we'll get into in a minute. But around the issue of humanity, that instinct to give and help and contribute is one that we should all nurture and hang a lantern on so people can see it.
Yeah, amen to that. Kudos to all of the people who are donating to that foundation. Many, many children are going to be helped, and that is why Hamlin started it in the first place. So Brett already previewed where we're going next. There were a lot of toxic people, a lot of toxic things said. Just as human nature can be incredibly giving and wonderful, it can be incredibly spiteful, hateful too. You know, both sides of human character exist. And with the good, we gotta bring up some of the other stuff as well. So after Hamlin went down, you know, after he had his cardiac arrest, this co-host for Fox Sports, Undisputed, Skip Bayless, had this callous, cold-blooded, ridiculous, hateful, need to have consequences thing to say via Twitter. Let's put up what he tweeted. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is critical to the regular season, or crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. You know what? This really makes me want to turn this show into a rated R, really, but I ain't gonna go there. I'm not gonna do it. Now, Skip, you should have just stuck to calling the game itself irrelevant. But when you compare a man's life to that, I mean, he had no shame. His gut impulse was really more about the game than what was happening to Hamlin. And it was very clear because he had no qualms at all about putting that up. But my stunt double had something to say about this. So glad that she did. This is what she said. This goes to show how some dehumanize professional athletes, especially black athletes. These athletes are people with families. They are people, not bodies meant for entertainment. That was my response to the real Skip Bayless at the time when he made these callous comments. But I don't know what this, I mean, I do know what to say. I'm not gonna say I don't know what to say, but this really galled me incredibly. I need a fire extinguisher right about now.
It's warranted. For years, anyone mentioning Skip Bayless should have been able to start with the phrase known idiot, Skip Bayless. His job on his show is to show up and say stupid crap like this. What an insane statement. Just from a sports perspective, forget that we're all humans because that's what he's doing. He's forgetting the humanity of the situation. You telling me that this game that is so anticipated now won't be more anticipated later? So that you're just wrong about the sports thing you're supposed to be smart at. It's so stupid. And then like, listen, I understand that in the recesses of people's id is this desire to have entertainment for free showered on them. But a man's on the ground with his heart stopped. We should cater to his needs more than the person covered in buffalo wing sauce and Cheeto dust saying, play for me with more danger.
Ooh, you're so right about that. And when you said the id, it reminded me of Psychology 101, the id and the ego, right? One of the first lessons we learned in Psychology 101, but you are absolutely right, Brett, on that. I'm glad you brought a little levity to this very important situation. And we as Americans and as sports fans, we need to get our priorities straight as well, because Skip Bayless is not the only one that felt this way. But he's the one with the platform and was dumb enough to get on that platform and callous enough to get on that platform and say this kind of stuff. So his co-host Shannon Sharpe, who is also a former football player, skipped the show the next day. But when he returned this morning, Skip Bayless decided to act a fool again. Take a look at this.
There's been a lot of speculation of why I wasn't on air yesterday, and I won't get into speculation or conjecture or innuendo, but I will say this. In watching that game on Monday night, what happened to Demar Hamlin struck me a little different. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me. I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Demar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation. So clearly, somebody.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
Well, Skip said nobody at the top had a problem, but you got Shannon Sharpe saying somebody had a problem, but you got Skip saying nobody had a problem. Well, guess what? He's on the show the next day, so guess who's right? Skip Bayless is right, because the higher ups obviously did not have a problem, and Skip said he wasn't taking it down. He said he's not taking it down, and he stands by it. So in other words, he don't give a damn. I wish I could say something a little sharper than that. He don't give a damn about what happened to Hamlin on that field. He's making it very clear. And he's not being held accountable. Why isn't Bayless being held accountable for his words and his actions? Now, here is a comment he made about NBA player Stephen Curry in June of last year. Let's play this.
It seems like to us, a lot of us, not all, some of us, a large portion of us, is that blacks are bound by shackles. We're held more accountable for our actions and our words, where our counterparts are with cobwebs. They're easily brushed aside. Shannon, he apologized. He or she said they were sorry. Why can't we get the same benefit of the doubt? Okay. Kyrie was wrong, but I believe Kyrie was wrong, but I also can believe the punishment was excessive.
There it is. The punishment was excessive. But Skip is still skipping aloof to my darling on that show, making millions of dollars without any consequences. I agree with Shannon Sharpe that the penalties and the lack of mercy and grace is always less, like 99.9% of the time when it comes to black folks. And I'm gonna tell you something, Brett, that's just how, this is not just my feeling. We can give countless examples throughout history and right now, even to this very moment, where black folks are treated more harshly than white folks in the same or close to same situations.
Yeah, I'm sure he got really upset at the Hale Irwin fiasco of 1997. Like, no, that's a white golfer who said something racist against Tiger Woods, and I think still kept his endorsement deals. Like, there is absolutely a double standard. People can't wrap their minds around if I were to describe white privilege, it's just like you don't get to if you're white, no one's like, oh, it's your race that you're representing at that point. But for some reason, everybody else represents their entire race at any given time. There's a lot about that. But I think Kyrie Irving's an idiot the same way I think Thomas Massey's an idiot. They're both brilliant people who read a ton and come up with the dumbest conclusions, but they're never gonna equate an MIT white congressman with a black athlete. They're never gonna do that, but they're basically, in my experience learning about them, the same person. But they don't get to exist as a personality. They have to exist as the archetype and category foisted upon them by society, and that is absolutely ridiculous. And it's worse. Like Skip Bayless is never gonna be held accountable for that because people talk about him afterward, and as much as there's a PR meeting in the boardroom where the people in charge of ESPN or Fox Sports are like, well, do we have to not? If we don't make any sudden movements, can we get away with this and more ratings? Well, if we're not losing any sponsors, let's do it. Well, the sponsors have to step in and there has to be some kind of accountability.
No, they do. And see, because the sponsors are not stepping in, I mean, Kyrie Irving, I don't necessarily agree with you about Kyrie, but he was forced to gravel. He was forced to do that. And that same is not being asked. And for me, I believe that the same is not being asked because the attack is against a Black person. In my opinion, another illustration is that people can come up and bump up against Black people or Black individuals in some of the most vicious, vile ways, but society does not push them to apologize. Skip ain't about to lose nothing. There won't be calls for a boycott. So the way Skip is being treated compared to Kyrie, even though absolutely what Kyrie did was wrong, wrong, the way he framed that stuff, they ain't come after Amazon and none of that kind of stuff. But it's definitely a double standard because all Kyrie did was posted something that was really on Amazon. As I recall, he didn't even make a comment about it. And they were coming for his job and coming for him to bow down in public. And Skip is not being treated that same way. Nike cut their ties with Kyrie. They hit his bank account. It wasn't enough when the man came out and said, hey, I didn't need nothing by it. That wasn't enough. And you know why? See, Bayless is not gonna pay a consequence for this because he's coming up against a Black man. And if he does have a consequence and the repercussions for this, I will be very surprised and I will talk about it on air. So that is it. One other thing, because I could spend all day on this story, that Skip Bayless did was against Stephen Curry, which I jumped right to the other one. But this is what the man said. He said, Skip Bayless on Curry. Little light-skinned Steph. I mean, really? This is what the man did. So this is not new for him to come out in this way. And as he said in his own words, he said the higher ups, they okay with it. And obviously they are okay with it because the brother was back at work today. And I still don't see anything, no calls for him to apologize, no suspension, none of that. So we're gonna keep up with this. I might just keep talking about this every other day. I'm galled by it all. Look, it's this time. I'm going on break because I'm feeling this right now. We'll be right back. Brett and I.
I'm wearing one of our pieces of merchandise. So the funny thing about the Dragon Squad, and that's what our viewers call themselves. That's the name of the group, but every individual chooses their own name. You might have Cincinnati Dragon. You might have Harry Potter Dragon. We have a Grandma Sunshine Dragon is one of those that I remember. These are people that like to have an element of themselves, their lives, what's significant to them reflected as a part of the community. But the concept of the Dragon Squad is just something I threw away as a joke. I was mocking the Proud Boys, these like right-wing groups that come up with a name for themselves that they think is cool, but it's actually really lame. And I thought, off the top of my head, I can come up with something that's still kind of lame, but much cooler. And so I threw out Dragon Squad and I just moved on with my life. But everybody liked it, and so they kept it going, and so we've embraced it. And I think again, this was during the period of the pandemic. I think it was sort of nice to have a renewed sense of community, a feeling that you're a part of something when everything seems so chaotic. And as a result of that, we've got independent artists online streaming, making beautiful digital art of dragons. We've got, we've released a number of pieces of merchandise that people love sending us photos of them. And then by the way, for me personally, people send me, like you can probably see in the background, like a knitted dragon someone sent me. There's a dragon book they sent me, dragon board games they send me. People have done like custom ironworks, making dragon bottle openers. Like the fans are super invested in diamond art and things like that. And so it's great that they send this stuff. Sometime we're gonna have to set up a wall of all of it. But yeah, it's definitely brought the community a lot closer together. The fact that we were no longer in this big studio, I felt a lot more personally attached to people. It felt very immediate. And I know that I personally needed the connection.
Did you know that more than 20% of the world's oxygen comes from the Amazon? Why? Because of trees. I know what you're thinking. Of course! So what do we want to do? We want to plant more trees so we can save the climate. It's quite literal. So that's what leads to our new partner, Plant Your Change. Love it. It's so easy. What they do is you take the credit or debit cards you already have and you plug it into the system. And if you so choose, you get to round up every purchase to the nearest dollar and they plant a tree for you, okay? Now you could also choose if you wanna do it on only certain kinds of purchases or only so often, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But literally every cent makes a difference here. It's Plant Your Change. And if you want to know more information, just go to tyt.com/trees. Let's go save the planet together.
Now, top. No. No.
Today, a terrible day for the internet, a terrible day for America. The internet as we know it is not going to exist anymore.
A real dark day for information, and yet another way that they're bleeding out the democracy.
We're now going to have these gatekeepers of information deciding what we can and can't see, and that's what scares me the most.
Whether you're conservative or progressive or anywhere in the middle, this is the one thing we should all agree to. Protect the internet, because the establishment is coming for it. Don't let them destroy the internet.
And welcome back. I just want you all to know I'm not gonna let the Skip Bayless thing go. I'm just not. Even if it's just honorable mention from time to time. We gonna roll, we gonna do this dance on Skip. Yeah, we gonna do it. So back to the comments. Prince Electro, hey Prince. Nina going in on politicians in only the way that she can. I love it with all 3 hearts. Thank you, Prince. I appreciate you. Somebody gotta stand up to these fools. And on Twitch, Roar Bear. Brett. Swoon.
Oh, come on.
Swoon, baby. Oh,
for you.
Oh, I love it. And Toll P, not gonna lie, Brett and Nina are my most favorite of the TYT fam. We receive it. It's some good, we got a whole lot of good folks to choose from though, but Brett and I, we will receive that. Thank you so much. And on YouTube, Super Chat, Twin Dragon Tamer, Nina and Brett with fire extinguishers. This was what I needed today. Yes. Yes. It's the only way to roll, baby. Pick up one. It'll come in handy. I am loving this with Brett. So here we go. Bruce Beach reselling. So the push for reparations, this is part of a larger reparations story. From time to time on the show, we've talked about reparations. I will continue to do that. I do believe that Black Americans, descendants of enslaved people, deserve reparations. It is generationally long overdue. But the push for reparation continues, and let's go to Los Angeles, where a family has reclaimed what is rightfully theirs. This headline: family to sell Bruce Beach property back to LA County for nearly $20 million. That reporting is coming from the Los Angeles Times. So let's give some context to this story. 6 months ago, Los Angeles County leaders signed off on an unprecedented transaction. They would return 2 parcels of beachfront property in Manhattan Beach to the Bruce family, the first example of the government giving back land to a Black family after acknowledging it had been stolen. On Tuesday, the county announced a surprise twist in the historic deal. The family would sell the Bruce's beach property back to the county for nearly $20 million. Now let's go a little deeper in this history, and Brett is very familiar with this, so we're gonna bring in the expert on this. In the early 1900s, Willa and Charles Bruce were pushed out of a bustling resort they had built, beloved by the area's Black community. The KKK, along with other white residents of the area, plotted to drive the family away, and city officials later condemned their property in 1924 through eminent domain, claiming they needed the lot for a park. The family's resort was demolished and the Bruce family moved away. The park would not be built for decades. And I want you all to know there are many, many stories about Black people having their land confiscated, stolen from them, all over this country. This is not a unique story, unfortunately. And the last point on this, in an effort to right the wrongs of the past, the board made the momentous decision in June to return the Manhattan Beach land to the descendants of the Bruces, a move celebrated nationally by reparations advocates. As part of the agreement, Bruce family members had a 2-year window in which they could require the county to buy back the property from them. They have decided to do just that. Brett.
These are things that when people hear, they're like, wait a minute, the KKK was in Los Angeles? And the answer is yes. And when you talk about reparations, this really does draw a straight line back to the Civil War, because pre-Civil War era, because the KKK is the ghosts of the Civil War. And this was a vibrant African American community in Manhattan Beach, south of the airport, where people came and they were succeeding, and the KKK wasn't having it. So they burned down many parts of that community, and it was stolen. And to add insult to injury, Manhattan Beach, like I used to walk by this, it is a paradise. Bruce's Beach is a gorgeous park that is it enough for us to just rename it Bruce's Beach afterwards? They did, but everyone pushed, like, you have to give it back. And if you walk by it, it is the richest, whitest people sitting outside every day holding court, have the richest, whitest conversations in the world on the graveyard of what used to be the thing that people on the right advocate. Like, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and start your own business? Start from scratch. They did. It was stolen, and LA had the good sense, after being pressured, that's a very important part, to give it back. And now they can get what was theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And keyword, pressured to do so. I don't know, Brett, the next time I'm out there, you got to take me by there. I must see this. And we did interview economist, author, professor, Dr. William Darity Jr. and author Christian Mullins on the show to talk about a larger point about reparations to enslaved to descendants of enslaved people in this country. And the title of the book, From Here to Equality, and those authors make a very strong case for reparations globally for Black people in this country. And one of the things that Dr. Darity once said, that while support for education and entrepreneurial activity should be a part of any reparations plan, the preponderance of funds must go to individual recipients, and they must go in such a way that we, in fact, eliminate the racial wealth gap, he said. And he said this on NPR. Dr. Darity and Professor or Ms. Mullins, they are so absolutely correct about that. We will continue to talk about reparations. So glad that the descendants of the Bruce family will get something that they have deserved for a very, very, very long time. So that is it for us today. It was such a tremendous roller coaster ride having Brett on the show with me with the dueling, baby, and I mean dueling fire extinguishers. I don't know who else is gonna co-host with me to be able to top that, but I am sending so much love to you, Brett, and love to each and every one of you. We appreciate you for your support of Unbossed. We appreciate you so much for your support of the TYT network. You know why it is so important to have independent media, and because of you, boo, we can do what we do. Now, you know what I want you to do about this time. I do absolutely want you to keep the faith, and I also want you to keep the fight. Until next time.